warbles on a lot here. I'm assuming that you already know what a SunFoil is. A streamlined solar panel permanently mounted on top of an ordinary road vehicle. It's an idea I came up with a decade ago because this car habitually flattened its batteries, largely because the distance I live out of town never gave the alternator enough engine time to finish recharging the battery, so yeah, I had to put a solar panel on the roof. And because the cheapest solar panels I could acquire at the time were 1 watt 12 volt units, I got 5 of them, put them together in an omnidirectional array, set it up as a faceted aerofoil to be dragged neutral at 90 kilometres an hour, because that's about how fast I was driving habitually in order to try and save fuel. And it succeeded. It meant that this whole thing kept its own battery fully charged. And then after a while, the battery which had been in this and had been a long-suffering battery, and then it got a solar panel retrofitted to it, a SunFoil, that battery died, so I replaced it. And then eventually this whole thing ran out of twistiness in its torsion bars in its rear suspension, so its rear diff is sitting on the bump stops. And 4 years ago it became the paddock basher because it could not be re-registered. Okay, so that brings us up to 4 years ago, and in September of 2015, the battery that came with this car, it died. So I put a new battery into it. And for most of the past 4 years, this has just been sitting here. And every now and then I'd have an occasion to use it, and I'd start it up and it would go, and it did go. One time it didn't get used for 2 years. But then, maybe a month ago, I decided to start picking up sticks and filling up the trailer and shifting 13 trailer loads of the worst of the bushfire fuel burden off the forest floor from the perimeter surrounding the defended clearing. Which I hope to convince not to burn. And shifting all that unwanted bushfire fuel a couple of 100 yards away. Basically bringing it out to a place where, if it burns, it's not going to be releasing its radiant heat anywhere close to where I am, or any of the stuff I'm trying to prevent from burning. So after, I don't know, 9 trailer loads, the old red Subaru started having a few starting issues. It finally got to the point where last time I brought a load of wood up here, I wasn't game to switch the motor off in case I couldn't get it going again. I didn't want to have to drive all the way up here and jump start it, which is what I'd had to do on the previous load. So I've checked out the system. The SunFoil's working fine on the red Subaru. But what's going on is it's a 10 volt battery. There's good charge on 5 of the 6 cells, and the electrolyte has turned into tap water. It's got a specific gravity of 1000 in the front cell. The cell connected to the negative terminal, which is where the electrons actually enter the battery. So what's apparently happened is the lead paste in that cell, enough of it has turned into lead sulfate, and the sulfate has been flaked off and fallen down into the sediment trap, and either from the sediment trap or from the bottom of the plates, lead crystals have grown, and there's now a short circuit in that cell. So no matter how much current the solar panel puts in there, it can only ever charge the other 5 cells, and they don't add up to 13.2 volts. It's more like 10.3 or something at the moment. So therefore, I've had to, on the one hand, buy a new battery for the Forester when the old one was not giving any problems. It's not in perfect condition, but it's 4 years old. It had a 36-month warranty, so it's 1 year out of warranty. It's been in a car with a SunFoil for 4 years. Meanwhile, we get to have a look at the logbook and find out how long this battery, the one that's dead, has been in the red Subaru. Which, on a cloudy day, is still bravely attempting to charge the dead battery. The book, the documentation. 5th of the 3rd, 2011. 45 amp hour battery died in town after 26 months in use. New unit, 95 amp hour, 470 CCA, Century 58. Replaced by Matthew, but there's your date, 5th of March 2011. Previous battery, been fitted on the 21st of the 1st 2009. And yeah, 3 months after the first SunFoil went on this car. The 2.5-year-old battery, which had been constantly permanently living at 30% permanently discharged. Yeah, after 3 months of having a SunFoil on the roof of the car, that battery died. Then I put a new battery in there in 2011. It's now 2019. We're talking September instead of March. So I make it 8.5 years that battery has been in that car. And for the past 4 years, it's basically been a paddock basher, only getting used on very rare occasions. And then after 2 years of not being touched, it up and started the motor probably 20 odd times, 25 times, because I did 9 trips with the trailer up there. That's 18 times. I've been various other places on the farm and, stopped and started and stopped and started and carried on. So yeah, if you stick a SunFoil on the roof of your car and you got a new battery for the SunFoil to play with, you can expect 8 years out of your battery. That's what I've proved so far with this aspect of the experiment. And for the sake of the veracity, as you can see, 12.61 volts. Yeah, 1/3 of an amp going in. 12.74, 12.62, 12.659 with the accessories on. Now showing 7.84, 6.43. As you can see, plenty of electrolyte in all the cells. Also, plenty of dark black lead oxide boiled out on all the plugs. 1.25, 1.235, 1.25, 1.245, 1.24, tap water. 1.000 specific gravity. Specific gravity of 1 is tap water, specific gravity of 1.3 is battery acid, fully charged. So as I said, the electrons go in through the negative terminal, because back in the 1850s or 1880s, when they had a scientific convention and they voted on which terminal was positive and which terminal was negative, they had a 50-50 chance and they got it wrong. The electrons go in the negative terminal. And therefore, apparently, perhaps, maybe, it's the negative, the cell connected to the negative terminal that tends to fail first. Or it may just be that it's the front cell. It's furthest forward, therefore it's got more of a mechanical bouncing amplification than all the other cells. So maybe it's got more mechanical wear and tear because it's just that much further forward. Anyway, that's what's the story. Battery with a 2-year warranty, did 4 years in service and then another 4 years sitting there being used as a paddock basher before the battery died. So, okay, how much money is your SunFoil going to save you on batteries that don't die at the end of their warranty period? Okay, so here's the 36-month warranty Century, which I haven't touched, and it says that one cell needs water because there's only a battery indicator on one cell. It came out of the car 2 days ago and it's holding 12.87. 2 days after it came out of the car, 4 years in service. Below that, 4.5 years in service. See, you can in fact get into these ones. And there is, if anything, more jet black lead oxide on the plugs. And you can see the electrolyte is just level with the tops of the plates. So yes, this battery urgently needs to be topped up, but we have kind of definitive proof that 4 years in service on the SunFoil, 261,000 kilometres minus 212,000 kilometres, 30th of September 2015, so we're talking 4 years and a month ago, this battery went in. 216,215 kilometres. 261 minus 216. I make that 45,000 kilometres in 4 years. No maintenance, no water added, and that battery was still going. It's about to make the changeover after being topped up, and it'll go into the paddock basher. But I think we can say with definitive certainty that having a SunFoil on the roof of your car certainly is not going to harm your battery, and it may even double its lifetime, run it out to 8 years for a 2-year warranty battery. Because this one's 4 years old and it had 3 years worth of warranty on it. Maybe it's only halfway worn out. At some point I really must redraw this graph, but anyway, specific gravity coming up here, 1.23, 1.24, run that across there, 82%. So apart from that one dead cell, the other cells in the touring wagon, the other cells in its battery are sitting on about 80% charge. 12.8 volts, 85% charge, and it should be probably 1.25, 1.26. Yeah, something like that, the specific gravity in that battery over there. But the level's so low I'm going to have to add water before I can suck any out into the hygrometer. I could tilt the battery on its side, but I know what it's going to say because of the voltage and the fact that it was in service and it was charged up most recently 2 days ago. So yeah, it's going to be around the 1.25, 1.26 specific gravity, or at least that's what the specific gravity will probably be after I first top it up. And I haven't got demineralised water. All I've got is filtered tap water. But you add all this water, the specific gravity obviously goes down, and then you just got to charge it back up and drive the hydrogen ions off the lead sulfite paste on the plates. So that's going to take some time. In the touring wagon connected to the Mark III SunFoil. Okay, so yeah, with all that water I've just added to the cells. Dirty, filthy electrolyte it is too. Yeah, that's going to take some time on charge before this battery starts to function. I've converted it from a battery that had almost no electrolyte but plenty of current to a battery that's got plenty of electrolyte and bugger all current. It will be curious to see what its voltage is. Once I wash the acid off, the overspill, shall we say. Okay, plugged in. Miraculously still 12.85 volts. Don't know how that works, but at least it's not an all jet black indicator anymore. Okay, and as soon as I connected it up, the fuel pump started chugging away. So it's currently on 12.78, 12.79, flogging backwards and forwards. As the SunFoil commences recharging it, under a leaden grey sky with the promise of maybe some thunderstorms. And 0.14, 0.15 of an amp going in. Slowly coming back up, so I'm going to leave that till tomorrow before I have a go at starting it. So there we go. All the proof of the anecdata rendered absolutely valid scientific evidence by virtue of the instrumentation and the documentation and retention of the observer's experimental observational notebook. You got to write it down. If you don't write it down, it's not data, it's an anecdote. If you document it, if you instrument it, and you document it, and you date it, and you keep the proof, then yes, an anecdote is data. It's valid data. It might be a statistical universe of 1, 2 perhaps. It's got a 100% rate of SunFoils making batteries last longer in my statistical universe of 2 brand new batteries. And it's slow accumulating the data because 10 years takes 10 bloody years, doesn't it? So, warbles on a lot to YouTube. I suppose that was a mad scientist video, was it? Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Ciao.